Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. It is mail call time today and it is a package all the way from Turkey. This is actually my very first package that I've ever received from Turkey. So this is actually kind of cool. Istanbul, Turkey. This package is from a man named Mohammed Yekta and I want to say thank you so much for sending this to me. I'm just gonna crack this package open and then we'll talk about what's inside. Here we go. Singapore 14 Ben Co. Says the same on both sides. Gotta love duct tape. When you see this box, you guys already know this is the Azewate logo on the beautiful wooden box, and in it holds the python. And if you guys are wondering, yes, it is the stainless steel python, because Mohammed Yekta knows that I don't do well with brass, and he reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in reviewing one, and I said of course. And the only reason why I didn't get it in the first place was because it was only released in brass, but now here it is in stainless steel. And I know that you guys are no strangers to the packaging. Look at how beautifully made this thing is. So I'm just gonna flip this up. Oh, nice spring action. Hehe. Ta-da! Oh, that was the number. It's 14. So there's a total of 49 ever made. A little bit more than the previous run. I believe that the previous run was like, what, 29 or something? And this looks to be glued onto the foam. Or at least stuck on the foam, maybe some double-sided tape. But that's a very nice touch. It makes everything very compact. You can see the python sitting right there in the foam with a beautiful cutout. It's like so well presented. Just beautiful. There we go. Wow, feels really good in hand. This guy is bead blasted. Just gonna close up the box and put it at the side right here. I've got a bit of the specs that I want to share with you guys. This is made out of 316 stainless steel, and the finishing, I just mentioned it right before this, it is bead blasted. The diameter is about 55 millimeters and it weighs about 92 grams including the buttons, which is perfect because you guys already know that I prefer spinners within the 60 to 120 gram range, and the bearing in it is a glued in bearing, which is a 1-drop R188 bearing, which should be pretty good. The minimum spin time stated on the website is about 3.5 minutes, and of course we'll do a timed video. And the box is handmade wooden box, and this product is shipped from Turkey. Yep. So let's see if I can undo the buttons, okay? Oh, beautiful. Dedicated buttons, guys. I like dedicated buttons. And the finishing on the buttons look very well done as well. Look, the bead blaster finish goes all the way to the underside of the buttons, and the only parts that don't have this bead blaster finish is on the threads themselves. So that's actually really well done. The buttons look like they're about 20 millimeters wide. They have a nice concave, not too deep, but it's comfortable enough. Nice wide buttons, and they are rounded on the side, as you guys can see. So no hot spots here. And taking a look at the frame, guys, you can tell that the finish is very well done. It is so even, and the whole thing is just rounded everywhere. Wow. Wow, not too thick as well. It is flush with the bearing itself, as you guys can tell. So nicely done. I'm gonna pop the buttons back on and then we'll give this guy a spin. Here we go. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. And because of the finish, guys, and that spin on the 1-drop bearing, it is so smooth, so silent, but look at the reflection. A very nice matte kind of reflection. Forward flicks, good. Pullbacks, good. It feels pretty comfortable right now. First impressions are really good. Nice area for your finger to rest against. Oh, that gyro effect. Oh, that's nice. Switching it up to the middle finger and thumb grip. Push forwards and pull backs. Feel very good. In fact, this feels much better than flicking with my middle finger. This is interesting, guys. This is interesting. It's rare for me to find a spinner that I actually enjoy fidgeting with it this way rather than with my middle finger. That's actually pretty cool. Now, I know that there was a lot of hype for the brass version. A lot of people were just raving about it, and right now, having the stainless steel version in hand, I can sort of understand why. This is really well made. Very beautiful spin. It's got a good, unique spin character because of the glued-in 1-drop R188 bearing. It's not a bearing retention system, I guess not a vertical press as you call it. And the finish, guys, it's smooth, it's satiny, but yet not slippery. And of course, size comparison of the python next to a stubby. And you can see it is slightly bigger than a stubby. Thickness is about the same actually, so that's really surprising. Buttons are about the same size as these buttons over here, which are about 20 millimeters. These are the abalone buttons by Mun's Studio. I mean, not plugging them in this video, but you know, you guys will probably ask anyway. Yeah, I like it a lot so far. Very, very good impressions. I feel that the whole entire presentation, the experience so far from the moment I unboxed it, removing it from the box and everything, was really, really good. It's a nice, more prestigious kind of experience, and well, nothing short of impressive for a spinner like this. Good job to the Azewate team. Apparently there's 2 people behind Azewate, so cool. But you guys already know the drill. I'll be putting the Python on my EDC for the next week or so, and then I'll be checking back in to let you guys know what I really think of it after spending that 1 week with this little baby over here. But so far, the first impressions on this is really, really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing how I will feel after the end of that 1 week. I'll catch y'all in the next part. See you.
One eternity later.
I am back after spending the last couple of weeks with the Python. I didn't manage to get any footage of this, but when I brought this to the office, Tetris saw this and said, wow, this looks really good. He held it in his hand, gave it a spin, and he said, this is solid. That's what he said. And I will agree. It is a really solid, really well made spinner. So here are my updated impressions. First of all, after a while I felt that this design was kind of plain. No doubt there are good design nuances here. Like you see the weights being tapered out here and also tapering upwards. Then you have a negative taper going out at the end of the arms. And all these are good when you're talking about a spinner design because it's really comfortable to hold and really comfortable to flick. And also because of the weights being thrown out, it gets better spin times. And I'll talk about that later. But just the aesthetics alone, after a while I guess this kind of looks a little bit, I don't want to say it's boring, but it looks a little bit plain. Maybe it's because everything here is just kind of flat, like the whole thing looks very bare. At the same time, because the buttons don't really have any other design nuance besides just being plain. Now that really just is the cosmetic aesthetics of it. The way this spinner is made though, it's really, really well made. When we look at the side profile of the spinner, we can see a lot of good design nuances. Here, it is tapering upwards, then is a negative taper this way. So it has a negative taper on both axes of each arm. It's going this way as well as this way, which is really, really comfortable when you're actually holding it. Because you don't have a flat edge, it's angled and it's really comfortable when you put your finger there. So this is really, really nice to hold. Of course, all of the edges have been nicely rounded, which adds even more to the comfort. So it's a give and take, you know. You don't really have a lot of details on the face of the spinner itself, but the bead blasted finish, all this rounding coupled with the design nuances really makes this a very ergonomic spinner that is super comfortable to hold. Now of course the buttons, yes, they are concave, they are plain, but they are concave, so it's the same thing as the spinner body itself. It is really functional, but of course you sacrifice on the cool look or the aesthetics of it. Now from that, we're going to jump into the fidgetability of the Python spinner. Holding the spinner this way is a real joy. These notches here kind of have that sweet spot for me. It's like perfectly made to have my finger sitting in there. It's so comfortable just doing this. And you notice I'm not even using a lot of strength, but I just somehow seem to automatically flick the spinner. Everything just works really, really well. All of the tapers and angles just blend harmoniously. Now I don't really feel this way about a lot of spinners, but this one really flows very well. The only other spinner that I felt that really flowed super well was the Arachnophobia, but this one kicks it up a notch. It's super ergonomic, kind of on par with the Sonder Tri, which I feel is really, really ergonomic, as well as the Peanut, aka the Nautilus spinner. Actually, I should have said it the other way. The Nautilus spinner, aka the Peanut. But this is really ergonomic, but at the same time, everything just flows really well. And it's super comfortable to fidget with. The sensation of this alone already is just wonderful. And just makes it such a joy to fidget with. Now, when I'm performing preloaded flicks, I could have my finger here on this edge, right here, which is a comfortable spot to grip on. But at the same time, I could also perform a preloaded flick out here from the side of the arm itself or inside of this notch, which is really surprising because this notch it's not just comfortable, it is functional. And this is the part that surprised me the most. This alone makes this spinner a winner in my opinion. Just this particular part. Alright, I know I'm talking too much about this, but really guys, I don't want to take away anything from it and I don't know how else I can stress it, but this is really just something. It's just so easy for you to land your finger in there, and it also helps you to perform your flicks as well as regenerate your spins. I don't know, it just leads your finger in there. Even though you're on a pullback, you see how it leads your finger in there. You know what? I'm just gonna move on to the next point. These buttons are actually pretty wide and they are really comfortable to hold. The dish itself or the concave itself is not really deep, but it's comfortable enough. The only thing is that if this spinner was any heavier, I believe that these might be a little bit slippery because they don't offer any other kind of grip. In fact, this finish, this bead blaster finish is so smooth and so satiny. It's really nice to touch, but it's also a little bit slippery. So that's something that you guys should take note of. However, because of the finish itself, I tried swapping between a few few different buttons, but because of the finish of the spinner itself, it just didn't really sit well together. You know what I mean? They just don't really match. So that's a little bit unfortunate. So I guess you could say that these buttons also don't really work well on other spinners. They look a little bit strange. However, if you are someone who enjoys a two-tone finish, then that's a different story. It's just my personal opinion. Now, changing it up to a middle finger and thumb grip, performing flicks with your index finger is also very comfortable thanks to this beautiful notch right here. That really is just an awesome notch. I think it's just the right proportion, just the right size, and it's super comfortable. All of the angles on the side of the arms just lead your finger into the notch itself, coupled with the fact that it's got such a smooth satin finish. Like, it just flows, you know what I mean? Like, this really just flows. I think the word I should use for this spinner really is just it flows. It flows like a python, you know what I mean? A python isn't really that elegant of a snake, I think. But, you know, this thing just really flows very, very well. So anyway, as I was saying, these notches here, they have enough real estate where you can actually apply pressure and help you get a more powerful flick. And that's something that I don't really experience with a lot of spinners. So really, I think I'm just repeating myself again, guys. The proportions is just awesome. Alright, now fidgeting with your fourth finger, of course, is very comfortable as well. It's not too heavy and not too light. So this is really quite a joy to fidget with. On top of that, guys, this is not too thick. It's one of the more, I guess you could say, slender spinners. Let me just grab a stubby and show you guys what I mean. See, it's not any wider than a stubby, and you guys already know the stubby is such a classic design. At the same time, it's got really good proportions, and this doesn't lose out as well. It's not too big, not too small, and it's been exaggerated at the right spot. So I would say that this is really, really well thought out. Good job, Yekta, really good job. So fidgeting on this guy is really, really good. I rated really high up on the fidgetability scale. This is at least a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. Also, the buttons are raised enough that you can perform two-handed table spins. So this is really everything that you want to ask for in a fidget spinner. Now, next on the Azewate website, they actually advertise that this gets about 3.5 minute spins minimum. And I will say that this claim is pretty spot on. Now, on a two-handed table spin, I'm always hitting about 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes, so no complaints there. You know, I'm glad that there's no false advertising here and there. I'm glad that there's no kind of blowing things up or puffing things up. It's very nice. It's very nice of them to be transparent, you know? I like that. I like that a lot. Next, I'm going to talk about something that I feel that I'm kind of nitpicking on, but I want to point out to you guys that there's a little bit of a machining, I won't say defect, but some machining issues in these two notches over here. See, the rounding on the inside looks a little bit rougher as compared to the rest of the spinner body, and it's only just those two arms. And I pointed this out to Yekta and he laughed and said that I have a good eye. And the thing is, he mentioned that he really pushed the machining capabilities to the maximum when they were trying to machine the python. I don't really know much about machining capabilities in Turkey. In fact, I don't really know much about machining capabilities anywhere. You know, I'm just a spinner enthusiast. I just enjoy spinners. But what I do know is that it is not easy to round off edges on the inside notches like these, and this I would say is done pretty darn well. You know, I don't think it's done by hand, I think it's done by machine, and then after that it was bead blasted just so that you can have this really smooth satin finish. So what I'm saying here is that the whole thing flows very well, but there are a little bit of imperfections here and there, but they can be easily overlooked if you know machining well enough. I'm not gonna say that I do know it well enough, but personally as a spinner enthusiast, just these two areas out of the entire spinner body is forgivable. So guys, my final verdict on this spinner. Yes, I'm going in pretty fast on this one, and that is because it is all how you value this. Right, 95 euros is not cheap, guys. It's about 118 USD. So for 118 USD, you're gonna get a very well designed spinner. But when we're talking about designs on the flats here, it's a little bit simple, in my opinion. So it's a give and take, guys. It really depends on what you're looking for in a spinner. To the touch, this is wonderful. As a fidgeter, this is wonderful. But the design itself is a little bit plain, and I know that it is a personal opinion, but I'm not gonna hold back. This to me is a little bit expensive for what it is, but it works really, really well. On top of that, you have to consider the fact that there are only 49 pieces made and they're all serialized. So when you factor everything in, it all depends on whether or not you think that it is worth the money. For me, I think it's a little bit expensive, but at 95 euros, I think it's very competitively priced, and I will not fault Yekta for that. So good job to the Azewate team. I think the Python is a really solid spinner. I like it a lot. I like it a lot as a fidgeter. Not something that I would really enjoy looking at for long, because you know, a lot of times we just look at our spinners and go, oh my god, it's really beautiful, right? It's just something weird that we do. But I believe that 80% to 90% of the time we purchase spinners based on how it looks, whether or not the design appeals to you. And now I'm going to be brutally honest here. If not for Yekta reaching out to me and telling me that he was going to send me this for a review, I would probably have not spent that money on this spinner. But now that I've held it in my hand, I can totally understand why it's priced at that point, and I can understand why people who own the Python really love their Python spinners, because this is really a wonderful fidget spinner to experience. And that about sums it up. Thank you so much for sharing in the slice of my life, everyone. As usual, links in the video description down below, and I hope that I provided enough information to help you decide whether or not the Python by Azewate is a spinner for you. Verdict: I like it. I think it's a really wonderful spinner to experience, but the design is a little bit lackluster. Apart from that, if you're able to get your hands on one, just know that it is one of the 49 pieces ever made in the world. I'll catch all of you in the next slice of my life, everyone. Gaga Boost!